Welcome to my show. A guest here. His name is Dr. Scott Miller. Dr. Miller, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well, and you?
I'm fine. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for the time and the opportunity, Dr. Miller. Firstly, you are an author. You are also a board certified plastic surgeon. Can you please, Dr. Miller, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, Dr. Miller?
I am doing well, and I've been in practice for over 25 years in La Jolla, California. Um, Happily married, wife and kids, life doing great, and have been blessed to engage in a career that I find incredibly aesthetically, meticulously challenging, interesting, and kind of fits my uh, personality and skill set. So I find that a career serving patients in a way that engages uh, my blessings and tools that I've been given is incredibly satisfying, and I'm just very fortunate.
Thank you so much for the insight. And also, from the experience you've had, you've also dedicated yourself to write a book called Authentic Beauty. Can you please, Dr. Miller, discuss more on that book? And do you also plan to write more books in the coming future, Dr. Miller?
So yeah, I mean, I wrote a book because I felt like there was information that patients need to know and weren't being taught and told. And there's a potential path that patients can take, and they weren't being offered or given. So I felt compelled to put out there something that I know reaches, touches, and means to people because for over 25 years, we've been talking about and doing this, and it strikes a chord. And we've got a ton of people from all over the country and many from all over the world. And we found that this is something they found lacking in some of their other explorations. So I felt like there was a message to be shared. And I think that's why you should write it because it's a lot of work when you write a book. So I wouldn't do it if I didn't feel passionate about that. And I wrote kind of a broad book to help redefine what plastic surgery means in today's world. So sure, yeah. I mean, I think I might zoom in on some. I think there's room to really zoom in on each of the individual parts of the book and things it touches on. But I didn't want to write, a 500-page novel. So I really tried to kind of give a broad overview of what plastic surgery means in today's world, not fleeting trends and exaggerated results, but results that look natural, feel personal, and stand the test of time. Patients are looking for providers and also looking into more procedure to help them navigate that journey. I wanted to provide a trusted roadmap that combines artistry, experience, and ethical care to help them along that path. And then I did some time in each individual procedure and simplify the process. Hopefully, one of my goals was to provide a lot of tools and tips to help people process. So I felt passionate about giving some takeaways that people can enjoy the book, but also find it incredibly useful, be they patients interested in knowing more about and or having aesthetic improvements, or providers who want to know better how to serve their clients and patients.
And that is the beauty of the conversation we are having currently now, is to make people understand how this plastic, how the surgeries and things like this are also being done. What we can try our best to understand better regarding the perspective, and what we also the misinformation or the misthings that we have been taught, or what we thought about it, we could also understand it better. Thank you so much for the book you've written, and also I would like to dive to the point of people who think cosmetic enhancements are all about quick fixes. Because even I have to be honest with me myself now, when I watch a lot of reality shows, because I watch reality shows that deals with that, I usually feel like it's just like a quick fixes. So how do you think your
Yes.
philosophy of minimal intervention challenges that idea, Dr. Miller?
Yeah, so I think that I would think I would change is minimal to if you need to do something more, you do something less, though, you should do something less. You should do what you should do, not what could do. I think we should look at each patient. If you're the patient, communicate with your provider and really make sure we're tuning in. That's where a lot of the authentic comes in. The authentic comes in terms of trying to help people be their authentic best self. The authentic in and being authentic to patients as far as what we can actually being authentic as to what the sort of downside considerations would be so people can make the best choices for themselves. Looking at each patient and listening to each patient, you can determine, do they have a result that actually is consistent with their own self image and self behavior and self lifestyle? Or is it out of proportion? And maybe you need to kind of like gently point that out to them, or at least clarify so you can make sure you're, in line. And, the old thing about it's not, you might be very efficient if you're getting good gas mileage, but if you're going in the wrong direction, you're not being very effective at getting where you want to go. So it all starts with understanding patients' concerns, lifestyle, and needs. Then looking at what your suggestions are for how to achieve the result they're looking for, and or maybe gently redirect them if that is seems misguided, or at least explore that further, let's say. So that's to me the goal of it. Sometimes that means, hey, this little thing isn't going to get you where you want to go. I don't know if this big thing's really on the menu for you, but this is what it would take to get there. Or many times there's much smaller things that can get people to a beautiful, authentic result than throwing in the kitchen sink. So, both things are part of a sincere conversation.
Mm. Thank you so much for the insight. That shows that we have to try our best to also, understand such person background and also try our best to know how we can have the sense of discussion that will help the person along the way when someone wants to do such such cosmetic procedures. And also, I would like to drive to the point whereby people want to make this decision. They want to try their best to say, okay, I think I want to give it a try, or I want to see if it's something I can do in the future. For
Mhm.
listeners considering a cosmetic procedure, what do you think is the most important factors to think about before making a decision, Dr. Miller?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for listeners, I think to make a decision, the most important factor. So we kind of present, as I mentioned, in the book, I try to actually create some usable tools rather than just a lot of theories and concepts, which are fun too. But when we create a decision, we create a decision aid that's been useful for a lot of our patients. And I'm not saying you follow it like an Einstein mathematical equation, but it actually is very useful as a sort of a clarifying factor in your thought. So, the A is for aggravation factors, the the I is for improvement potential, and that's obviously something you need to come to a conclusion after discussion with your provider. And then the D is for downside considerations. So we have a formula whereby you take in the aggravation factor, the improvement potential, and the downside considerations, and you come up with a number that would guide you as to whether maybe this is a really bad idea, maybe this is a really, no brainer, great idea, or maybe it merits further consideration. And again, the idea is to provide a tool for some introspection and thought. And we provide 5 questions in each of those categories to sort of stimulate your thought. And you rank each one from one. Well, or you rank it from 1 to 5, but there's no three. And people always laugh. They go, "Wait, there's 1, 2, 4, 5. Why no three?" And the answer is because three's a cop out, right? Three is too easy. It's in the middle. So we try to force people to really make a decision on these things. You know, is this thing really bothering me, or is it sort of not so much? Is there big downside considerations or not so much? And then obviously, again, in the middle is in discussion with your doctor. What is the improvement potential? And now we get into that discussion with the physician, which is a whole different topic in terms of really making sure you're getting honest, sincere,
Yeah.
advice.
I really love the area you said because now the patient is the one that he or she is trying his best to explain himself better. Our job is just to try our best to say the truth and also be honest with what we bring to the table so that the person who is in charge we try his or our best to know the right thing to also put on board so that we will not get to a point whereby we get to a certain position whereby we regret some things that we've done because we need to try our best. No matter how we just need to explain more better to whoever we're trying to encounter. And also, you also spoke about the four pillars of your practice, which is the quality, integrity, safety, and service. These are very, very important four factors that one needs to consider if one want to make such decision. How do you think someone can also use those values as a checklist when choosing a surgeon regarding them going for a cosmetic procedure, um, Dr. Miller?
Yeah, so we have in our practice, we follow a philosophy called passion for performance. The four being our four pillars of quality, integrity, safety, and service. And again, it sounds cute and it's nice to sound cute because it works together as an office and we can all get behind it. But really, the point of it is sincere. You know, we have a passion. I have a passion for performance. I care about my patients. I care about their results. I care about their satisfaction. I care about their life. And I think that when you give people positive results that can make them stand taller, smile brighter, embrace the world with more confidence, you put forth a virtuous cycle that then goes forward. You know, if you're feeling better about yourself, you're probably nicer to the teller at the bank. Then you make the teller at the bank's day better, dot, 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 et cetera, ad infinitum. So that's to me is very important. Quality is trying to be exceptional, trying to not just be what's ordinary, but to be extraordinary. Integrity is doing what you say and saying what you do. I say DWYSYWD. You know, do what you say you will do and say what you will do. So to me, that's very important, both personally to me to be able to look in the mirror and in my relationship with patients so I can best serve them. Safety obviously is paramount. This is medicine. This is real medicine. This is not, we're not playing around here. And even the most minor things can have significant impacts on patients' life, health, and well being. So, safety is absolutely paramount. And that's why our surgery center is Quad A approved. We follow every regulation the hospital does. We don't cut corners. You know, patient care is paramount. And then service, you know, I think again, we want to create a wow experience. We want people to have extraordinary experience. We want to redefine what plastic surgery and medicine means in today's world. We want people to see what's possible, what plastic surgery can authentically do when again results feel personal and honor your uniqueness rather than violate it. And you know, what I really want, I tell a story in the book about a patient who she had had nothing but bad experiences. Her daughter came to me, had a great experience. So she came to me. We were able to provide her with great experience and naturally beautiful results that she was looking for. But what's most striking and wonderful to me is I ran into her 15 years later. She's an older woman at this point, and she had had some health challenges and with some kidney issues and whatnot. And what she said is her experience with us not only helped her feel better and more confident, but actually gave her a roadmap of what to demand and look for in her interactions with the medical field in that pursuit and challenge. So that was very heartwarming to know that we had helped her beyond just the how she looks in the mirror.
Thank you so much. And that shows that the joy of the patient is very important. You know, when someone has done something and he or she feels the joy and he or she feels the satisfaction regarding those things is so much overwhelming and heartwarming. And that is what, welcoming and understanding is very
Right.
important in this perspective. And also, I would just like to dive to one of the most important things we also need to check on because when we want to sacrifice ourselves, we are humans, we want to take a surgery, we have to try our best to know the person better or try our best to make sure that this person I want to hand over myself to is a trusted person and also he or she will do the right thing. So what do you think are some of the red flags listeners should watch for when evaluating whether a clinic or practitioner is trustworthy, Dr. Miller?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I think one of the things that we talk about a lot in the book and provide checklists and whatnot is basically that when you meet your doctor, you should be open to their opinions. You shouldn't come in with a preconceived idea of what you need or should have, but it's okay to be knowledgeable. It's okay to be curious. It's okay to ask good questions and ask follow-up questions. It's okay to demand to be treated with respect and treat others with respect and look for that respectful interaction that you have. It's nice to have a nice office, but and then a nice office is not a red flag. But on the other hand, when the office it seems like it's at dichotomy with the care and the personal touch that you're receiving, maybe they're putting a little style over substance. So by the same token, things shouldn't be run down, things should be clean and crisp, but a clean and crisp office doesn't guarantee that you have an ethical, empathetic provider. So I think that, and then like I said, listen, be open to suggestions, but don't turn off your brain and mostly don't turn off your gut. Listen to your gut. Your gut is the amassed knowledge of your life experience. So if you ask me if a 16-year-old should listen to his gut, maybe not. But if you ask me if a 66-year-old should listen to their gut, then absolutely, because they've been around for 66 years. They've experienced a lot of things. And while they might not process it as fact in their head, they're having an intuition, and that's what your gut is. And it's okay to listen to that voice within you, at least to look back at it and do some introspection and say, why am I feeling this way? Something feels off or something feels great. So I'm a big advocate of that. Further, on a really practical level, we actually present in the book that we suggest all our patients bring in a sheet with 2 lines, 3 columns, and you should have a concern that should be all filled out when you go in. What are my concerns? Okay. And then the next column is cause, and the next column is correction. So when you speak to the physician, it should go from concern to cause. You should understand what's causing that concern, right? They shouldn't just jump right to correction. And what you should do, I should do this, have this procedure, have this. No, concern, cause, and then what are they suggesting as a correction? And you should be able to draw a straight line. Oh, I understand how that correction is going to fix that cause and therefore address that concern. And then the discussion might bring up new concerns. That's great. Then add that to your list and then look at what the cause of them is and what the correction will be. But if you have a correction and you can't relate it back to an initial concern, that's, no pun intended, concerning, because that means they're just, maybe they're just throwing in extra procedures that aren't related to anything that even bothers you or anything that addresses the concern. I'll sometimes point out, so that somebody won't come back and say, why didn't you tell me that? I'll point out other things that I see, but I'll also, asterisk caveat, hey, that doesn't seem to be bugging you. And unless you on reflection think it does, then that's not something we should be messing around with, unless it's going to be in out of balance or out of proportion to something else we're doing. So again, there's no black and white. This is a gray zone, but it's a gray zone that needs a lot of empathy and communication to arrive at the right things. But I really think that just going to any kind of physician with that concern, cause, and correction mentality and literally checklist um, can really help people to avoid a lot of the pitfalls that they could run into.
Concern, cause, and correction. Those are the things that we can try our best to look at. When we are concerned about something, we should try our best to give the full information and to be 100% honest. We need to try our best to work one on one with the person we are dealing with, try to explain better, and also see the view of that person to know the right thing we can also do. We also need to look at our guts. When we see our guts, most especially for elderly people, as you said earlier, elderly people are also the ones that have experienced a lot, so they will definitely know if something is wrong somewhere. And also suggestions as well that could really help one to also become more better and also give the sense of ideas that's really help one in a very, very huge way. I would also like to dive to the point of those who want to get into this thing and also people who are unsure because they are really, really good questions that I've also asked you, but if a listener is also unsure whether cosmetic enhancement is right for them, what do you think are the self-reflection questions you would recommend them to ask themselves first before taking such decisions, Dr. Miller?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll read from the book here, and I mean, basically, how much. So we have under aggravation factor, like how much does this bother me? Does it rarely occur to me? Is it an occasional irritant? it a persistent wish list, or is this a long-term daily frustration? And then, like I said, you look at the improvement potential that you discuss with your physician, minimal change, subtle difference, and you give these a score. And I think on the downside consideration, are you healthy? You can afford it without any stress or life burden to make time, or is it the opposite of that? So I think you need to look at your life and lifestyle. You need to look at your age, physical health, and you need to look at how this is going to add, what it's going to take monetarily, time wise, discomfort wise. Do you have the support to go through it from your family and friends or from others who can help out? Um, is this the right place for you as an office that's going to give you the support you need? And then, and then, you know, what do you see at the other end of this? And discuss that with your provider because you want to make sure that surgeon feels that, and they, at least in our practice, we have every interest in, if we think it's not going to get you where you want to go, we want to know too. And we want to tell you, no, our interest is in making patients, like I said, happy patients with big smiles and wow factor. And so if you're not going to get there, you need to know that, or if you're going to get halfway there, or if there's, if the results could be, great, good, or just okay. And, again, one of the things I've always said to patients is it's okay to do little things for little results, and it's awesome to do little things with big results.
Yeah.
It's okay to do big things for big results. You definitely don't want to be doing big things for little results. So you need to figure out where you fit into that little cube matrix and find out. Make sure you can make the best decisions for you. I would say if you're not sure, then keep meditating, keep exploring, keep thinking, keep learning. You don't do this stuff. This is real surgery with real recovery and real results. And that's the awesome part is it's real results, but it has to be something that you really want.
One has to be 100% with the decision he or she wants to make regarding this perspective, because we have to try our best to sit down and make sure that we check a lot of things. As you said, age, health condition, a lot of things we need to check within ourselves. When we know these things and we are 100% sure we want to make this decision, then that is the time we are going to sit down and give the sense of looking for a person who could, a practitioner that will definitely help us in one way or the other regarding the step we can take. But we have to be 100% sure with ourselves. Also,
And is your doctor operating on the highest level? Is your doctor doing surgery while he's shouting out orders to a nurse or nurse's aide to inject medications, or does he have a board certified anesthesiologist there every step of the way, ensuring you're absolutely safe, whether you're under sedation or under anesthesia? Having that provider with nothing to do but look at the monitors, look at you, and care for you, so that they can pay full attention to the procedure they're providing.
true, true, because the person have to be 100% with the patient because it's a surgery,
Yes.
it's a very, very sensitive task. That's why I respect you guys. It's a very, very sensitive thing to do, and one have to be very careful, and there must not be any mistake by the way when one is doing it. That is the beauty of what one want to do, and that is why we have to be sure, and we have to also give the sense of honesty and also trust to the person who wants to help us to
Exactly.
develop ourselves. Trust is very important. There's a question I also usually ask during the end of the show, Dr. Scott. From our forefathers, from our ancestors, there are a lot of beautiful things that do exist during our ancestral time that is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, Dr. Scott, what do you
Mhm.
think that thing will be, Dr. Scott?
I think that the doctor patient relationship,
Mm.
for reasons that are structural and sad and structural, the doctor patient relationship in medicine in general has been severely diminished. And I think that we need to bring that back. That probably the structural things way above my pay grade and involving complex things. But like all things, it starts at the ground level. So I think in plastic surgery, and particularly aesthetic and cosmetic plastic surgery, we have the privilege, because we're not as hampered with third-party payers and some of the structural limitations. We can and often are at the forefront of that. So I think board certified plastic surgeons caring for their patients not only can have the opportunity an obligation to set that standard of patient care, because we're not hampered by some of the things that our colleagues are, with limitations of resources and time that we can spend with the patient stuff. So when an aesthetic provider isn't spending time with this patient, that's more, a little bit of greed and business efficiency and really unethical. They should spend that time and effort, because we have that margin and that ability, and we should take advantage of that to really invest in those relationships, both for our patients' good and honestly, ultimately for our practice and our staff and everybody else's good, but mainly because it's the right thing. And then when we do that, I think we can help set the model for other medical professionals. I have a lot of friends in a lot of different specialties, and I've kind of guided and counseled and consulted with them on how to improve the efficiency and care of their practice. Because since we've had the latitude to really try to really fine tune that patient experience, and then they really want to bring to their patients as well. Now they suffer with the, I only have this much time to see this many patients, or I won't get this third party income and I won't be able to pay my rent. And look, your doctor paying the rent and keeping the practice open is in your best interest too. So again, a lot of empathy and understanding for their circumstances, but there are things they can do within those limitations that can still help their patients and their practice and ultimately themselves. Because most physicians I know want to practice in a proper, empathetic, effective, optimal, and exceptional way. And so, one of the things we try to do, and one of the things I try to do with this book, is lay out kind of how we do it, not to be like we're all that, but to provide a roadmap not only for patients and what to look for, but for providers. And our practice modality and our passion for performance with emphasis on quality, integrity, safety, and service, many of those features can be built in to practices in other type of medicine. And by the same token, patients can look for many of those features. And that's a lot of the checklists we provide, what to look for, how to look for. And sometimes it's repetitive, but we put it in different words because you never know what metaphor or what phrase is going to catch with an individual. But if people look for that, I do think that they will get better medical care. And if people provide that, they will feel more satisfied with the medical care those providers are providing and performing for patients. And a rising tide lifts all boats. So that's really the goal of the book, is humbly to inform patients, less humbly and more ambitiously to redefine what plastic surgery
Mm.
means in this world and what it's capable of. And then maybe most lofty would be to help that spread to other areas of medicine as well.
That is the beauty of it, because we have to try our best with all these little things that we understand. We also have to try our best that getting the relationship with the patients and also the practitioner, which is the doctor who wants to assist, is one of the main cause of what we want to bring out of what is there. And that is what we have to try our best to work on as patients, and also as doctors who are also trying their best to help one person into the surgery to also become a better person, because we are trying to make ourselves real again, and we're trying to solve a issue that we've seen that is not making us comfortable in one way or the
Yeah.
other. I also want to use this
Right. Mother
opportunity.
Teresa, Mother Teresa didn't try to change the world. She
Yeah.
tried to help people one person at a time. In doing that, she made an impact.
That's one of the most humble women we've ever encountered on earth. May our Professor rest be safe. So I also want to use the opportunity to thank you for the time and the opportunity you've given to me on speaking on this important topic. This is a sensitive topic that people also need to understand. And I thank you for the time and the opportunity you've given to speak about this on the podcast. Thank you so much, Dr. Scott. I'm Dr. Miller.
I appreciate it very much. Yeah, cultural differences. Scott Miller. There you go. Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to share with your audience kind of where we're coming from, why we did this, what our goals are,
Yeah.
and what we're here for. And again, I think our the book Authentic Beauty goes into detail on all these factors and more. And yet it has real practical and, like I said, more philosophical and theoretical, and hopefully in between with some fun stories of patients that keep the attention. And our website at millercosmeticsurgery.com has a lot of this information as well, to try to, again, just reinforce, inform, and generally elevate what people can achieve in their pursuits and endeavors.
Have a wonderful day, Dr. Miller. Bye bye.
I appreciate it. Bye bye.